What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at Dracula, the original 1931 movie directed by Todd Browning, starring Bela Lugosi. Now, Dracula is a part of the classic Universal monster movies that span from the 1930s all the way to the 1950s, pretty much ending with The Creature from the Black Lagoon. So, pretty much, Dracula was the foundation of that golden age of horror movies from Universal Pictures. So, Dracula is essentially one of those important movies that, even if you're not a fan of Dracula or the character, you have to watch it because it's one of those movies that deserves that respect. This is one of the first actual movies to actually have that was a talkie. This was the first horror talkie movie that was made in 1931. So it's a very seminal movie. Again, it's not only the launch of the classic Universal monsters, but it has a lot of different elements going for it that make it a very culturally, aesthetically, groundbreaking movie. Now, with all that history aside, how is this movie? It's not bad. It's okay. I was never the world's biggest Dracula fan, and I was never really a huge fan of the Dracula movie. To be honest with you, I find some parts of the movie to be kind of boring, and I find some parts to be either mildly to wickedly entertaining. To be honest with you, my favorite part of this movie is the first 20 minutes of this movie, where we see Renfield, played by Dwight Fry, traveling across Transylvania to meet Count Dracula. And the first 20 minutes of this movie, to me, is the best directed parts of the movie. It's the best acted parts of the movie as well. I think Dwight Fry as Renfield, when we see him in a normal state of mind, I like him. He's a little timid in a way, but he's timid in a way, but he comes across as kind of likable. The character of Dracula, the title character, played by Bela Lugosi. What can you say about Lugosi's performance that has not been said within the last 80 something years? He is Dracula. He is what Dracula should be. This aristocratic, thick accented, talking, just monster. And Lugosi's portrayal and delivery, it's so subtle, it's so smooth, and just his movements and that wicked, crazy look in his eye. To some people, this may come across as a little hammy or a little cheesy, but to me, it's just that right amount of spookiness that never goes overboard. Lugosi as Dracula is fantastic, and when Renfield goes into full-blown crazy mode, Dwight Fry steals the show when he's playing Renfield as a crazy man. I know Renfield, when he's nuts under Dracula's control, he is wickedly entertaining. He is completely chewing the scenery and is so over the top that he's actually a joy to watch. It's no wonder why they call Dwight Fry the man with a 1,000-yard stare. Because when that man is in full-blown Looney Tunes mode, his eyes get so cartoonishly large. It's like piercing in a way. Great performance by Renfield. And the third best actor, I got to give it to Edward von Sloan, who played Van Helsing, who is the arch nemesis of Dracula. Now, this movie kind of sort of touched on Dracula and Van Helsing's rivalry in a way. I don't think it was really for the development. I like how Van Helsing already knows about the occult and knows about vampires, and like I said, the movie kind of hints and teases that Van Helsing knows something about Dracula that others don't. But the movie, to me, doesn't really explore that. However, the scenes with Von Sloan and Lugosi, to me, are some of the best scenes. They have a lot of tension to them, a lot of suspense to them. There's this one great scene at the end of the movie where they're having this great conversation about Mina, who Dracula has under his control. It's a great scene. A lot of the scenes that Dracula has with the supporting cast are all pretty good and really solid. It's when Dracula's not in the movie where I think it's kind of bland. The characters of Mina and Jonathan, they are dull as dishwater. Nothing against the actors portraying them. I understand this is the 1930s, but to me, they are just so wooden. It's almost, now I understand. This was one of the first talkie horror movies, so a lot of these actors never done talkies before, especially Todd Browning, who was more famous for doing silent movies, not much talkie movies. So he didn't really know how to direct a movie like this. I understand that, I get it, but when you have actors like Edward von Sloan and Bela Lugosi and Dwight Fry pretty much getting the talkie, pretty much delivering the dialogue pretty good, it's a shame that the actors who played Mina and Jonathan didn't take pointers from those three, because they're not painfully bad. They're just dull. Their delivery is kind of dull. Mina's has this uh, has this monologue where she's telling Jonathan a story, and it's just so very melodramatic, and it's almost laughable in a way as to how she delivers those lines. It's hysterical, unintentionally hysterical. And like I said, David Manners, who played Jonathan Harker, he's not bad in the role, but he's just dull, like very 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 dull. So yeah, but from a production standpoint, I think this movie is really well shot. I love the production design and like the set looks. Dracula is pretty much the template of the Saturday morning Scooby Doo cartoon haunted house type of deal. No, that's where that's no that they get the aesthetic from this movie, and you know what? It's an iconic look. I love the look of Dracula's castle. It's that stereotypical just Eastern European just dark castle that is so grimy and hidden from the world. It has a mystiqueness to it. I would have liked to spend a little bit more time in there, but we didn't. This movie kind of like brushes through the first 20 minutes and gets us to England, and that's where the movie kind of gets hot and cold. Like some of it is good and some of it is not so good. But like I said, from an overall technical side, I told Todd Browning, even though he was not an experienced at doing talkies, I thought he did a fine job behind the director's chair. I think the cinematography by Carl Freund is actually pretty good, and there's a lot of really cool tracking shots. Like when we first see Dracula, we get this cool shot where the camera just zooms right into him, and Bela Lugosi's just standing, just stone like a statue. It's great stuff, and you got a lot of cool camera work like that. So this movie is not without its technical precision. Now I understand that to most people this is not the best technically sound movie. They prefer the Spanish version, but I've never seen the Spanish version. I've only seen the original version, because to me the original version is the only version you need to see, because it's the version that kind of kick-started what we know now as the horror genre, to me at least. Alright, so yeah. So with all that being said, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I respect it for its historical significance, but Dracula was never a movie that I really go back to all the time. Though, when I do go back to it, I am always enjoyed by Bela Lugosi, who is spectacular in the role. I get enjoyment out of Dwight Fry, who is just hamming it up as Renfield. And I enjoy Edward Von Sloan as Van Helsing. And I do like all the scenes that Dracula's in. They have a good, creepy tension to them. But everything else in this movie, like I said, it's hot and cold. It's not garbage, but it just feels flat and dull. So yeah, that is my review of Dracula. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I will check you back next time for more.